She has a beam, and then she
Yeah.
has a bunch of bubbles, and then she also
Yeah.
does it underneath her, so you can't be close, you can't be far, you can't be mid. I'm like, fuck you. What do you want me to do? This is exactly, by the way, how I talk to the game. What do you want me to do?
Derek Teague presents Alpha as Fuck Impressions.
Let's start with Elden Ring, since Derek, you haven't been able to join us last couple episodes. We don't have to talk about anything specific, just general thoughts on Elden Ring. What's your experience been so far? And yeah, I want to hear what you think.
Tell us about your alpha AF impressions.
I'm 72 hours in, which is actually a big deal for me because I don't play games for 72 hours unless it's Rocket League. 72 hours in, level 125. I've probably killed, I mean, I don't count, but I gotta have killed like 50 or 60 bosses. Just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I was exploring the world and I had like over 80,000 runes, and that's what it takes to level me up. So I was ready to level up, and I was like, oh, I'm just exploring and I'm not near anywhere where I can level up. And I'm like, well, let me just use my sword key because I just ran into this secret area. Now, normally, if you use a sword key, it just leads to like a reward,
Right?
Because you're paying to go in that area. So normally the game's like, oh, we'll pay you to go in that area. No, that sword key opened up a door to a dungeon full of poison that drops you down into a cave full of poison. So you can't climb out and you can't teleport out. So the entire dungeon, I am stressed out because I'm like,
That's so many runes to lose.
I'm a very, very cautious player. So there's a lot of people that are like, I hate playing these Souls games because you lose your experience, blah, blah, blah. I lose it sometimes, but I rarely lose any experience because as soon as I get a significant number, I immediately run wherever I need to run and I level up or do whatever I do. So to get caught in that situation and then it end in a boss fight where I was able to at least call in my mimic. In case y'all don't know, there's a Ash that is a mimic of you, and you can level it up to +10, and it's you. And here's another cool thing about this game. So the mimic is you, and whatever you have equipped, he will use. So if you don't have anything equipped, he won't use it. If you have a bunch of stuff equipped, like fire for your sword, he'll put fire on his sword and he'll start swinging around with fire.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you equip bombs, he'll start throwing bombs.
And it doesn't take it out of your inventory, right? Because he's
take it out of your inventory.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
So whatever you put in there, he utilizes. So if you put, I think it's I forget the name of it, but there's a special like healing thing that you can equip. If you equip it in a certain area, he'll use it so he can heal himself too.
Oh wow.
Once. Yeah, so he's a very, very powerful Ash, especially if you get him to +10. But anyways, so the game has just been an amazing adventure. It's what I didn't know I wanted. I always talk about, like, not just on this show, but like when Tim and I started our podcast, I always tell him one of my favorite games, like a very special game, is Dragon's Dogma. And the reason why is because Dragon's Dogma was just, they set you in this world. They didn't have, at launch, they didn't really have a fast travel system built in. Later in the game, you unlocked items that would allow you to fast travel to certain areas, but that was way late in the game. So every mission before that, you had to travel. And I enjoyed it, whereas other gamers complained, because I was like, I feel, and I really said this, I'm not just saying this now because of Elden Ring, I feel like I'm playing a Lord of the Rings game.
It felt like you were going on an adventure,
I was going on an adventure.
Going on an adventure.
In Dragon's Dogma, you have like an AI character you create, and then you can also recruit AI characters that are actually your friends' characters
Mhm.
that they created. And so that's how I played that game. That's what Elden Ring makes me feel like. Elden Ring feels like I'm in a Lord of the Rings game. It's Dark Souls, but it's in a Lord of the Rings universe, and I'm
Mhm.
on an adventure. Go wherever you want to go. You don't know what you're going to run into. Every time I think I know what I'm doing or think I've got the game figured out, I get wrecked. Like I'm level 125 now, and today I was supposed to be working, but I wasn't.
Hey man, it happens.
I was yelling at my screen because I don't know if any of y'all have fought Commander Nile, but he can F off. Commander Nile is terrible.
Commander Nile, huh?
Yeah, he's like an optional boss, but he actually has a piece of a medallion in order to go to a secret area. So I wanted to beat him first of all, just because I actually ran into him organically. I didn't look him up in a guide, and so I wanted to beat him because he just kept beating my ass. I actually respect twice to fight this guy.
Oh,
First, it was to cheese him. You can actually cheese him and kill him in like 20 seconds. But I didn't have a certain item when I respect, which I watched the guide. The guy said, do this. So I did it. And then I watched the rest of the guide and he tells me afterward, well, you need this item. And I'm like, I don't have that item. And now I'm a freaking wizard, which I've never played before.
I'm a freaking wizard.
And the item you want
Freaking wizard, Harry.
the item you want me to go get is in another dungeon behind another hard boss. I'm not gonna fight
my
wizard.
god.
So I went back and respec back to not what I was before. I changed it up because before I was playing Dex, Strength, and Faith. So I told Sasan, I was like, Dex, Strength, and Jesus. I have Jesus on my
God
side.
damn it. God damn it.
Which, by the way, I have given up my faith and I've gone.
Do you mean in the game or real life?
Well, by my lifestyle. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm going strictly Dex and Strength now. I went high Dex, and I've changed even my main weapon. Before I was using Sephiroth's sword. Yeah, I was using that for 80% of my gameplay. But I have switched it now to, what is it, Bloodhound Fang, and I plus 10'd it, which is the highest you can get for a legendary item. So I've got it maxed out, and it's doing what it needed to do because my style of play is very aggressive. And when I was trying to play with Faith, which is more, it was more of a quality build where I could do melee, but I could also step away and shoot fire at you and stuff like that. But the problem was I wasn't strong enough at either one of them. So if I would get close to you melee and I would fight like a guy like Commander Nile is not just one boss. Spoilers, he's just like a regular human, like big bulky human dude, like soldier, but he has two knights that he brings in. So you've got 3 people fighting you at one time.
Who are tough enough bosses by themselves. I mean, enemies by themselves, not bosses. But
yes, well, the 2 knights have endless poise. And so for those, and Sasan explained this before, who don't know what poise is in Dark Souls games, it basically means they don't get moved by anything you do.
And you can't interrupt their attacks. Yeah.
You don't interrupt their attacks. Like I was heavy attacking them, and they were just like, I'm sorry, did you ding me while I stab you in your chest?
Can you backstab them, or is that possible? Or?
Yeah, you can, but it's so chaotic. It's
Yeah.
That's why there's a lot of people. There's certain bosses you'll figure out where you just go online and you just see, okay, I'm normal. I'm normal struggling with this boss because there's a ton of people like bitching about it, and then they have a ton of cheese videos. Like you can cheese them this way.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I ended up beating him by respecking, and I changed everything, and I put it back to my style, which is basically strength, where I now have a big lightning shield. I have my big bloodhound Fang, which is very powerful. I'm a little bit slower than I would like. I liked being fast as a samurai, but I'm
is that
more
from the Sentinel,
powerful.
the shield, the lightning shield, that Sentinel that's guarding the capital? Dude,
awesome
fuck
shield.
that guy. Like seriously, like
I had to cheat him. You want to know how I cheat him? You go and you level up your rot dog. You
Oh, okay.
unleash the rot dog. The rot dog will get him rotten, and then you
Yeah,
run and hide from him, and he just dies.
You can beat
Sure.
the first. You can beat the
Yeah.
first boss that way too. I saw someone do that online
Yeah.
where they just at the very beginning of the game they show you how you can teleport to where you get the rot dog ashes.
Yeah.
Then go back to the first boss. You just make sure the dog stays alive long enough to implement the scarlet rot, and then you just run away from.
Well,
the
and this
first
is
boss.
why I was sharing this stuff. This is
Yeah.
okay for those who don't understand why I like these games. It's not just I'm super cool because I beat hard games. I don't like hard games, but I get involved in these games and I get fully invested. So I told you I've played 72 hours. That's not including the 30 plus to 40 plus hours of me just watching
Yeah.
Fighting Cowboy play the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now, just to be fair, in case anybody's listening, going, "Oh, so he's watching ahead?" Nope. Fighting Cowboy's behind me. I'm just watching him on his very first playthrough, and I'm actually building confidence because I'm like, "Haha, you struggled with him? I beat him in one go." You know, and so, but the reason I love these games is because the entire thing is a mystery, and it
Yeah.
truly is an RPG. So the example is Niall. I was struggling with him. Well, you have to pay attention, obviously, to his patterns and stuff like that. And yes, you can level up, but it's also just like, for instance, there's an area in the game where you can go to this. I don't forgot what they're called. They sell stuff, whatever they're called. And he's on the side of the road by a fireplace, and you go and talk to him, and he will sell you an item that looks like nothing. It's just like it looks like a twig. If you buy that item,
The sacrificial twig.
no, this one's different.
Oh, okay.
If you use this item, it will actually, you just pop it in front of them and then you spray it on them. It will manipulate the enemy and they will turn on their.
Oh.
So in that fight,
Nice.
you have two of their knights. If you can pop them with that, they will start fighting him. Plus, I had my mimic fighting him.
Oh, nice.
So it didn't work at first. In fact, I actually failed at it. The strategy that ended up working for me is, and I got this from Sasan, which is funny. Everybody jokes about Sasan and I dating, but we hadn't been talking at all. And then him and I just started messaging, and we realized we have the same build, we have the same weapons, and we are in the same area of the game. Like he's
It's
like
time
a little.
to get married finally. It's time to get married.
There you go.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we're
it's
going
time
back
to do
and
the
forth.
thing. Do the thing.
Yeah, he's like
Gingerly
just-
touch your tips.
It's like, I just finished beating Niall. He's like, I have a strategy for him. That guy's a bitch. And I said, share. And he tells me, go into it, take on the first one, unleash your mimic, but go into it, take out the first aggressive one,
Mhm.
but then don't go help your mimic with the second one. Focus on the boss. Count on your mimic to take care of the second knight.
Mm.
And I did that because that's not what I was doing. What I was doing is trying to take out the first one and then trying to take out the second knight, because the boss doesn't attack you unless you get close to him. But once I went after the boss, it was an easy boss. Plus, with my weapon change and my spec change, he ended up being easy. Why? Because I made changes. It's an RPG. There's all these secret things that you can unlock to utilize in fights. But also, it could just be how you upgrade the weapons you use, the gear. The other thing I did is, because I changed my I spec my character, I then started using that lightning shield. His special move is lightning. And then I had a talisman on that prevents lightning damage. He didn't have as much power on me, whereas the first 20 times I fought him, and I was trying to do my quality build, he was killing me in 2 shots.
Yeah.
And he could do damage, but he was not doing the damage he was doing before. So that's the stuff I like about the game. Like, it involves the community, and that's why you'll always see me fighting these people who are like, put in easy mode. It doesn't impact your game. You're destroying the game. The game is about building community. It's
that's
about
what I said.
unlocking mystery.
That's what I said week 1. I said if you make an easy mode, that's the game. Like if you you're defeating the purpose of the game. Like that's It's like removing a story from
well,
a Naughty Dog game. It makes
I
no
mean,
sense.
But here's the thing, though.
I
The
will
like,
story's
agree
too
with that,
dark.
yeah.
Make a lighter version of the story for me.
But here's the thing, though. Everything that Derek is saying is feasible, and like all you need to do is just hop on your horse torrent, go around and find like the rot dog, for example, or these unique weapons or unique armors that adds a little bit extra to your character. Or if you really want to and you don't really give a crap about what people think, just go cheese. There's all these like exploits and all these things to level up. Like
There's
just-
so many videos.
dude, beef up
It doesn't
beef
take
up your
long to
character.
realize
Even
how
if
you're
you-
supposed to be a
Even
video
if you
game.
don't do the videos and you discover bosses on your own that you get stuck on, summoning other players gets you through those bosses.
Yeah.
And you don't feel bad about it. You still fighting together. It feels epic. And then they leave your game. Like they're just there for that boss
Yeah.
fight.
That's why
No,
they're gone.
and there are a lot of really strong professional players who literally hang out at boss stores every day.
They just
to push
drop
noobs
their
through.
little signal there, and then they
Yeah.
keep playing until they get summoned in to help. That's it.
like
Yeah,
this
and,
is
and
the
so-
most
and suddenly you
accessible-
have some pro MLGer who's helping you. Like seriously,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like it happens.
I will
like
say
it's-
though, like Kyle and I discussed before, in the past, when you play co-op in these games, yes, they always beef up the enemy, but I've never felt like they beef it up like they do now. I
Yeah.
have found that every boss has been
Way
easier
harder.
doing it on my own
Okay,
than trying
okay.
to wait for somebody to come in, and then when they come in, they usually die in like 5
Yeah.
seconds, and then
And we're
I'm
still at the
stuck.
beginning, so a lot of people are still like noobs. you
Yeah,
know?
now you can co-op and you'll get quality guys that have already. beat the
I
game.
tried it out. I joined a few people's games in the academy there. Once I beat the academy area and the final boss there, I was like, it'd be fun to level up a little bit. And I liked those bosses. There's two main bosses there. There's the dog and there's the witch. And I liked both of those
That
fights.
dog fight's awesome.
So I liked both of those. I was like, hey, I'll help people out with these fights because they could get frustrated. Like with my strength build, both those were actually really easy fights.
Mhm.
But I still liked them a lot. And so I went and helped probably 2 or 3 times on both of those bosses, and I thought it was a blast. And there was 3 of us on both of them. Yeah, they had more hit points, but in general, it was still the same fight.
And that's the cool pacing with that game is that like Godric is hard, you know what I mean?
Dude, he's tough.
And even Margaret's hard or whatever. But those
Yeah.
next two, like the wolf and like the witch, for me, hard easier though. You know what I mean? Easier.
Well,
than
she
those
killed me
other
like 4
bosses.
times in a row with that single first laser, and I was so annoyed. I was like, "What's?" And I
You
feel
just
like
gotta, yeah.
I saw a TikTok of that, and that made me laugh so hard
Dude.
because the guy was like, "I'm gonna wreck your shit,"
Yeah.
and then right after
She
the
has a
cutscene,
one-hit
it's like
kill
one
move.
shot, and he just
dude,
goes,
and I didn't
She
realize
actually has a few one-hit kill moves.
all
which
I
is-
had to do was run to her. So I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. Like as soon as you change to that second phase where you're now in this kind of
Mhm.
weird moonlit
You
kind
just
of
have
like,
to
looks
stay
super
close
awesome.
to her
as
for-
soon as I
like,
sprinted
that.
towards right as it loads in, you sprint towards her, and then that laser beam goes over your head, and then you're
Yep.
good. You just stay close the rest of the fight, and you're good. Plus
I'm
with the strength
curious
build, I
how
was
you,
just hitting
you
her and
guys
just
will
kept knocking her down.
feel when
But-
you fight Red On.
I kept
know
on
some-
I kept on seeing all the
I'm nervous about
the
that one.
memes where it's
Dude.
like
you
Berserk
can
is
actually
just
cheese them.
Kaladin is just Berserk World or whatever, you know,
Dude,
for like the anime.
dude. Meteor, right? Derek, dude, just, I mean, yeah. I don't
Dude,
even-
okay, so first of all, I'm not gonna spoil anything if you haven't fought him yet.
And,
But
I have not.
the way when you go in, first of all, he caught me off guard like 20 times. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I'm trying to use my horse because you're like 9 miles away from him.
yeah,
I'll give you
yeah,
pro
he's
tip.
like all the way.
Don't use your horse in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I died a lot just trying to use my horse in the beginning. But then when I finally got to him, and this was the first time, so I'd already died like 10 times. First time I'm actually surviving for a little bit. Again, my build was terrible for this fight. And I'm surviving for a little bit, and then he goes up into the sky, and I'm like, where'd he go? And so I'm still moving around a little bit, but I'm like looking for him, and then all of a sudden, boom, and I'm one shot dead. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? He just came down as a meteor and just killed me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude,
What
it
is
looks
wrong
so.
with this
If you
game?
actually catch it in action, it's literally just an anime. Like it's just this dude barrel-assing out of the sky like a freaking anime
Just
character.
goes away and then comes and barrels down on you. And this is the first time, so I didn't cheat and watch the fight ahead of time or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, he's gone. All right, I know he's coming back, but where is he?
"Oh my god!"
Bam! Like he landed right
Is-
on top of
is
me.
Yeah,
I'm
my
It's
like,
like
best
a
piece of
main,
advice for folks is before you
is it
see
like
a
a-
yellow door, make sure you use all the runes that you possibly can. Level up, spend them somewhere before you go into those doors. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if are those like the main main story bosses, quote unquote.
Well,
the ones
sometimes
you
there's
need
no
to beat
yellow
to
door.
progress.
Sometimes you enter an area and the boss fight triggers, and that's
Yeah,
just the
'cause
way
they
it
wanna
is.
If you
fully-
see
they
a
don't
fog
want to-
door, just like spend everything.
But
you
a
got.
fog
Prepare.
door is a dead giveaway. But there, like for example, the witch in the academy, there's not a save point right in front of that door. You just open it, and it triggers
it's
a
actually a long
cutscene.
trek to get there. Yeah.
It's a pretty long trek to get there. Thankfully, they turn off that ball trap. Like once you get there the first time, I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like when
if
you
you
have to,
kill the guys in the top of the tower,
if
yeah,
you
that
kill
stops.
them, yes,
Yeah.
then that
Yeah,
stops,
you
which
gotta
is
kill
nice.
them.
Because okay, that must have been what happened. Because the next time I went, I was waiting for the ball and it never came after me, like the Indiana Jones moment, you know.
Bet you're
Um,
waiting for that ball.
There's so many funny moments in this game that got me. Like I went back and explored areas once I leveled up. I went back to the first dragon ruins after I beat that lake dragon. I was like, oh, he's really easy. Dragons must be easy in this game. No, he was easy, but dragons aren't necessarily easy. But anyway, I went back to the ruins and I went down and I went to this one area, opened the first chest, got this really cool twin blade. It's kind of like a Darth Maul double saber. That's a
You
cool
can
weapon.
turn it into a Darth Maul. You can light it up in red.
That's what Kyle was
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So, so I got that, and then there's another chest in those ruins. I opened it up, and it transported me somewhere. So it like quickly said something about it was a trap, and I was like, so many Star Wars references in this
It's a
area.
trap.
It's a trap, and so, but it takes me to this crystal cave that I was horribly under leveled for. Like,
Oh yeah, I know
it
where
takes
you're
you
at.
not only into a crystal cave, but you can't warp out of there. You have to find your way out. And there's these guys who cast magic, and they killed me like 6 times. I was like, how do I get out of here? And so I finally just kind of stealthed my way out. But that was annoying, but also kind of like they don't
Genius.
like. I like that no other developer would do this. They would give you a little hand-holdy way out. Like, we got you, but here you go. No, you're truly stuck. Like you can't teleport out, and if you die, you're gonna lose whatever runes you had. I had like 20,000
If he
runes.
dies,
And the funny
he
thing is with
dies.
that cave is I kept thinking after I was high enough level and was exploring, I was like, oh, it must lead to another side. So we're in the back side, so there must be a front.
Right.
No, we're in it. You just
Yeah.
have to jump over, and I didn't know that. And so
There's 2 ways out. There are 2 ways out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize I could actually explore the entire cave at that point. I thought I was in the backside that was blocked off.
Yep.
But that's why I love those games. I love the mystery. I love the community. I love that I watch all these videos. I love that I'm having conversations. Sasan and I don't talk, but we're talking every freaking day now. We're like, whoa, what are you doing on this? Where are you
So
at with this?
I heard
Because you
about
guys
this,
aren't talking, you're boning. That's why.
I had heard about this this dragon that's asleep in the Kaled region that you could kill for a bunch of essentially free
Yeah, I
runes,
did
and I
that.
was like,
I did.
I might go do this. So I stumble upon this dragon in Kaled, and I'm like, this must be it. He's sleeping. I got close, and he woke up. That wasn't him. That was a different dragon, and he killed me. He killed me real fast.
He killed you
Real
dead.
Yep, they'll do
Yeah,
that. Yep.
it was like some zombie dragon that's near. He's like sleeping right there. He woke up and he killed me. And I found the real dragon. It's the size of a friggin' mountain. I was like, oh,
It's
Oh, I think I
so
know which one
big,
you're
yeah.
talking about.
that's
Yeah.
the
Well,
dragon.
hold on.
I
So
think
is that
so.
the one where it's like
And there's
you
lots of
basically
little dragons all around her that you can.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it like-
I have done that in maybe like 20 people's games at this point. I have a lot of friends who are playing this, and they're like, I just need to get XP, and I'm like, I can get you 75k XP so
Yeah.
quick. Like,
Is that the one where you just like cheese, like you whack the
you
back of
just
its
come
tail?
behind it?
But
and
see,
you
But
just
you
hit
have
it,
to clear
and
out a couple of dragons first, which aren't.
but I heard
easy.
that if you kill that one, it doesn't spawn other dragons though, so you
No.
don't actually. No, is that
No,
not true?
no, you're correct. So if you
Oh,
just
okay.
kill the little ones, they'll respawn every time. If you leave her alone, if you kill
Right,
Mama
right.
Dragon, she and all the little ones are now gone. You can't farm them anymore.
So you can't get the dragon hearts or whatever it is anymore,
Correct.
right?
Because that's
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
place to farm dragon stuff. They're not bosses. They're like
Right.
really tough
Oh.
mobs.
Yeah.
But if you kill her, then that opportunity to farm them is gone. I think once you kill them, it's
Whoops.
gone.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was trying to bring that up because yeah, that's what I was.
And they're
watching a
like
video
they're
of.
like 3,500 each, and can give you the dragon hearts. So if you want a place to farm those, that's a good place to do that.
So,
But anyway,
well, the last thing I would say about this is that as I'm getting close to end game, I gotta say I thought, you know, how sometimes games will be real big in the beginning and then they'll kind of shrink down to kind of get you focused on the story and ending the game. This game,
Yeah.
like, it
doesn't do
opens
that.
up. The second area is just as big as the first area. Like there's
Huge.
so much, and then I'm unlocking secret areas underground. I'm like, what the
It's,
heck
cra-
is
it's,
this?
it's crazy how sprawling this map is, because every time I'm like, okay, this is the last place up north I need to get, you know, like
Mhm.
map point wise or whatever. and I'm like, oh my god, that didn't uncover anything. There's still at least 17 more
Yeah.
sections up here, and it's crazy how big this map is.
And
Yeah,
if
it
you
is.
how
just
much there
wanted to
is to do.
mainline this game, like you just like Jeff was like, well, hey, are these the main story bosses? No, Radon, you can skip Radon. You don't have to fight him. There's
Oh.
like only 10 bosses that you have to
Yeah, I
fight.
thought it was a small number, right? Yeah.
It's like 10 that you have to fight, and there's like hundreds in the game. So
Yeah.
there's like 90
Yeah.
optional and 10 like main. And then
Mhm.
if you're doing speed runs, like I watched a guy beat it in 38 minutes. Yeah,
Jesus.
38 minutes. And he glitched 2 bosses and only fought like one for real. So he only fought one boss, but
Sure.
he glitched 2 of them.
Congrats, buddy. That's super skillful.
I really hate that. Like that to me is not a speed run.
And,
The
I mean,
guy I
that's what
watched
speedrunning is,
earlier-
though. That's
It
That's
is
what
breaking the
That's
game,
what it
but
is. You're right.
yeah.
That's what it
It's
is.
just breaking the game.
It
But,
is, yeah.
I'm
That's
more
just
impressed
speedrunning.
like fighting all the actual bosses as quickly
Yeah,
as
same
possible.
here.
Like,
Yeah,
That's what I
I'd be
mean by
more impressed with
speed run.
that.
Like I'm more impressed with like an actual speed run of the actual game. Like
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
sure. Not as fast as
I
you
even
can
want to
without
see one
breaking.
like a speed run where you fight even like all the main story bosses. I don't care if they're optional. Like take me through all the main story bosses. Give me a couple hour, 10-hour,
I
whatever it
watched
is.
the 2.5 hour one, and I was really
Okay.
impressed how fast that guy got to a plus 25 for his weapon. And he did fight a lot of the bosses. He wasn't like skipping around a lot. He knew what's
He knew the game
super
though.
Yes, what's super cool is how they know where everything is and they just go there. Like everything's like it's like they've been playing this game for years. I'm like, dude, the game's been out for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Maybe-
that's crazy.
How do
Maybe-
you have this all?
because it's
and I
all
know
they've
they
been
take
playing.
notes, but I'm like, how do you have this all memorized? How do you know how to do all this stuff?
So I stand by what we
Like-
said last time, where there's not a strong narrative in this game. But that being said, it does have some really interesting. And this is annoying for folks who don't like Souls games, I know, but it does have interesting lore if you actually as you start to piece together the story of like who's who and what the relationship was between these two bosses, and now that's different because he chose to go. Like that stuff's all pretty interesting. I think even though it's not told in a compelling way, you're not like emotionally invested. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool mythology, is how I'm looking at it. Like I like the mythology of it, and then also there's this quest line that I just started. And I'm following through on it right now. Actually, you guys have probably already finished it. I don't know.
Annie?
But it's the Ronnie's Tower where you meet her.
I just completed. I just unlocked his.
Oh.
I have his armor now.
So you go up there, you agree to serve
Oh,
her,
okay.
then you go talk to her 3 friends, and then you kind of have 3 different quest lines to follow before you can come back, and that all culminates. But
Derek,
anyway,
did you
very
fight
cool.
the thing underground? The like
Yeah,
centipede type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
actually
thing.
ran
That thing was...
it. I'm not bragging. I beat it first time. 'Cause
Yeah, no, I did
Sasan told
too.
me- Oh, okay. Sasan told me he was hard, and I went in there. I was like, I just beat him the first time.
I mean, I just barely made it, but
but
like,
I ran into his sister in another area.
There's a
and
sister.
Excuse my language, Tim. She can go fuck off because she one shots you. Like I'm sitting there, like, oh, I'm doing good, and then she just goes, "Poof, you're dead." I'm like,
Well, it's like the beam attacks that I don't know. I'm assuming she does like some kind of,
she has a beam, and then she
Yeah.
has a bunch of bubbles, and then she also
Yeah.
does it underneath her, so you can't be close, you can't be far, you can't be mid. I'm like, fuck you. What do you want me to do? This is exactly, by the way, how I talk to the game. What do you want me to do?
What do
do
you?
you
You're
want?
like the
Yeah, what do
Ryan
you-
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, yeah.
What do you want? What
What do you want?
do you want? I learned
That'd be a
from
great gift for someone to make with like the player,
Yeah.
and then like here's Elden Ring.
Yeah.
What
Derek just had Derek has
want?
his hands around Miyazaki's neck. He's like, "What do you want?"
do you want?
What do you want from me? I don't understand. This is literally, I guarantee you, my daughter, who's next to me, like in the next room, probably hears me saying this. What do you want? I don't understand. You're the worst boss I've ever faced in the entire world. And I say
So,
this after
what-
every
what I
one.
She's
think
like,
is also
problem
cool
at
about-
work, Dad.
Yeah, yeah. Why is
What's
my
also cool
dad
about
yelling?
these games is that it's not just the boss fights are epic, and some of them have really cool puzzle elements you got to figure out and then fight them. Some of them are just straightforward. This is going to be tough. You're going to have to tough it out, and I like that. I think that's interesting gameplay design, and I like it. Even though I'm not always having fun, sometimes I get really frustrated. But I also really like in this game how they've allowed the exploration piece to be so rewarded. Like if you just happen to head down some valley that you notice, hey, I don't have any points of grace or whatever they're called, the Forsaken Graces or whatever they're called, to to teleport here. I wonder if I missed something. So you kind of go back and start digging through that area. You might find something behind a hill. You're like, oh, look, there's a cave right here. So you start going in this cave. You go walk up to a chest. You go to open it, and the floor drops out from underneath you, and it's pitch black, and you're surrounded by rats, including one big daddy rat that's trying to kill you. And so you have to quick pull out the torch and start swinging away. Like moments like that are terrifying. It's not really that a boss fight's tough. It's just they put you in an environment that's scary and new, and now you got to figure your way out. So now I've got to like go through all these scary passageways and fight through just regular mobs. There's only one boss in there, and he's actually just a big bear. He's not that hard. But that moment was just kind of like, it gave me, you guys mentioned Zelda. Like, I do think they've taken a lot from games like Zelda, where they want you to explore and they're going to reward you for finding those hidden little corners in the game. And I really dig that, man. Like that's been a big part of why I'm so addicted.
Breath of the Wild's just not that good of a game. Breath of the Wild's not that good. It didn't do anything to revolutionize video game. I don't understand.
There's a stamina meter and your weapons break down. It's so dumb.
Can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm calling it right now. 1 to 2 years from now. I don't understand what Elden Ring did that was so special. I don't understand it.
That's someone who didn't play it. Like, that's all that is. It's like, it's fair that you don't like it, but you didn't play it. That's why you don't understand.
Or they're not on a podcast with people that are like telling you stories that are actually interesting about the game.
Yeah.
Like, talk to the right people, bro. You'll be educated on what's so special about it.
Yeah. Every time I think I'm having a great time with the game, somebody else, especially when I talk
they
to
correct
you guys,
you.
like y'all are having a much better what there's more things to this game I haven't seen yet or haven't done and stuff like that. Like it's just a game that just it keeps on giving in terms of experience.
I think this podcast is an example of why Elden Ring is special, because I think normally it would be Daniel and I that would probably finish this game, and I'm not saying Tim and Kyle are gonna finish it, but I think they're on their way to finishing it, and I think Kyle will for sure. Tim, I don't know if you'll fall off because it's really big. It's gonna go for a while. That's what she. But like, but to me, it's hooked.
I'm level 70 now. I'm up to hour 33, I think.
Yeah, so it's hooked
good.
people that normally drop off Dark Souls games and Sekiro and Bloodborne. Maybe I think you guys finished Bloodborne, but like
I did.
that dropped off those games after 10 15 hours or whatever. This one's hooking you longer because it is the same but different. It's captured the magic of
different,
the mystery,
but still the same.
Dark Souls is this very cryptic, mysterious game, very difficult game. And then it's added on to this open world where it's just like, go explore, go on a journey in Lord of the Rings universe, and just enjoy yourself. And
I'm telling you,
I think all that stuff is what's bringing in players that normally avoid FromSoft games, like almost completely, historically speaking. Like, so many people are playing this game that I know that have never touched their games.
And I will say this game, and I'm sorry, Kyle, and then you can
it's okay. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that.
Actually, Kyle, just go ahead and hang up.
Yeah, just hang up. We're done. We're done with you.
Kyle can stay.
You can excuse yourself.
Is, in my opinion, harder than any Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
Sekiro is harder, but Bloodborne, even I would say this game is harder than Bloodborne. That being said, there are still a ton of things it does that actually makes it more accessible and potentially, if you put in the work, easier. And it isn't just like, most of the time I'll say, well, just level up. If you level up and get stronger, you'll dominate. That is true. But it's other things. It's the little tricks that I shared tonight about, like, little items you can buy and bring them in the boss fights, or you can co-op, or you can run off and level up, or change your weapon. They give you plenty of things to respec.
Or get the right Ash partner to summon that will occupy the boss. Yeah.
The Mimic is freaking dominant. I mean, sometimes he's a dumbass, and I do yell at him. I'm like, who are you fighting right now?
You're yelling at yourself?
He's over there, like, picking herbs, you know?
He's literally swinging at the air. I'm like,
he's copying what Derek does. He's sitting there yelling back at you, what are you doing?
I don't need any more feral fingers or whatever. Yeah?
And then Derek's like, am I the Mimic? What's going on?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're doing. But what I'm saying is that, and then one of the things I shared with Rob in his post when he was trying to, like, he didn't understand why people like this game. I said, well, first of all, he's playing a game that was never existed, or wanted a game that never existed. But the main thing is that there's little things that they've done, little touches I don't even think Souls fans have really mentioned that I thought were really cool. First of all, you can get a ton of flasks, but also if you clear out enemies, so let's say you had 8 flasks, you used 5 of them when you cleared out these enemies, it will auto-fill it to 8. And I think that's super cool that they don't make you go back to a site of grace to refill your flask.
It's also a little signal like, take a breath. You killed everything in this area. Yeah. It's a nice
it encourages you to stay aggressive and keep exploring, because it's like, okay, we're rewarding you because you did clear this area.
That happened to me with Red Mane Castle in the southeast of Caelid. I was nervous because I ventured too far, and I was like, there's no Forgotten Grace. I don't know. Dude, if I reload, I am screwed. I've got so many runes, and I went way around the back of this castle. I fought these vampire bats. I climbed up into the castle, and I could not find a save point for the life of me. It took me but I kept pressing forward. I kept clearing these areas, and it would replenish my flasks again. So it's exactly what you said. It kind of encouraged you to keep like, all right, let me push forward into this room. Okay, I can take out these guys, and then keep pushing forward, and finally got to the save point. And boy, it was that like. Not many games give you a sense of risk reward, and honestly, that sense of like on the edge of your seat, a little bit fearful, your hands are sweating. Like, games are very gamer friendly these days, and I generally like that. I really do. I don't necessarily want to always be stressed out and on the edge of my seat.
No,
but
this is a once in a year.
I don't want every game to be like this. I truly don't. But I'm glad to have a game like this. Does that make sense?
Well, having the options is good. Having the variety is good. Not just everything being exactly the same. That's when things get stagnant and boring and everything's.
And they really made, like, for instance, I like melee builds. I don't like
magic.
I don't like playing 30 yards away and shooting. Bing!
You don't like doing Kamehameha?
Hey, some of the moves are cooler than that.
Yeah, dude, the Kamehameha like beam.
To me. So, anyways, I like playing with.
They don't get it, Kyle.
They don't get it.
Builds, but they've made it even easier with that, because instead of like having to time everything perfectly, or just blocking and waiting for your stamina to drain and then you getting your ass beat. Now, if you block and some on their hits will clutter with yours, it will open them up for a strong attack, and they make it real easy. It's a quick counter. So that's stuff like that they added that you can clearly tell that they're like, let's make this really easy to help anybody who's interested in playing these games and make them feel like they can do this.
And you're right, that pattern works early, and it's something you'll continue to use later in the game too.
Oh, yeah. It's
I'm
great. Using it much now. Like
I use that golden halberd axe you get from that first tree sentinel. I've leveled that one up a bunch, and I'm still using that. I love that weapon, and that does a great counter attack where you're using your shield. He actually kind of spins around and slams straight down and hits everything nearby. It's a really cool counter move, and you know, some of them have other cool counter moves, but I really like that one. And once you get into the rhythm of it and you kind of understand where your hit radius is going to be, like you can start wrecking groups. Even a game like this where typically you want to wait in the corner and kind of draw one enemy out at a time. That's still a good strategy in most scenarios, but I've had more success with taking on groups at times, thanks to the different ways you can approach it. So I love that, man. I think it's great. Yeah. Also, the horseback battling has also been a lot of fun in certain scenarios. I really like that too. It's almost like a tournament, right? Like if you're on fighting another horseback guy, you almost like he'll back up, you charge at each other and try to swing and hit, and then you kind of like it's almost like you're in jousting.
Yeah. And if you're on a bridge, it's even more epic. So
really cool.
Great game. Anyways, I'm glad I got to finally get on the show. I wanted to be the last 2 weeks because I love this game, and I actually thought I would kind of fade off of it, especially once I saw how big it was. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to keep playing, but I just keep coming back all day, every day.
Yep, it's excellent.
All day.
What's been really tough for me.